Well, hello and welcome to day 4 of our 30-day challenge, Be Brave, Trust God. And we've got some really exciting, good stuff, encouraging stuff for you today. So let's get right into it with Psalm 139, and I'm going to start at verse 1 and read the first 4 verses. So that's Psalm 139, starting at verse 1. Lord, you have searched me and know me. You know my sitting down and my rising up. You understand my thoughts afar off. You comprehend my path and my lying down, and you're acquainted with all my ways. For there's not a word on my tongue, but behold, O Lord, you know it altogether. And when I read those verses, I can get excited in myself, and I can go, well, that must be good news. But sometimes reading those verses doesn't seem like good news, because what it says to me is that God knows everything about me. And not only does he know it at the time, but he knew it all before I even did it. He knows everything that's ever going to happen to me and I'm going to ever do. And that sometimes to me doesn't sound like good news, because I know what goes on. But here's the good news part. He already knows every stupid thing you are going to do for the rest of your life. And in spite of that, he still loves you. He still wants to work with you, and he still wants to do some pretty amazing things through you. Just think about it. He knows every stupid, dumb thing that you are going to say, every rubbish thing that's going to come out of your mouth, and he's still for you. God isn't surprised by what you like. He isn't surprised by your mess. He's not caught off guard by the times that you've done stuff wrong. He believes in you, and he will not stop rooting for you. He will not stop being there for you. And all of that means that you can be brave and trust God. You can trust him because knowing all those things about you, he didn't walk away. In fact, he did the opposite. He didn't say, well, I'm going to give up on you. Instead, he drew near and said, we're going to walk this together. I'm going to keep my promises to always be with you to the end of the age. And even more than that, right now, he's thinking precious thoughts towards you. He's ready and waiting for you to seek his wisdom, to learn from his counsel, and for him to take action on your behalf as you trust him to keep his promises. All of that is just absolutely amazing. So, one of the worst things you can do in your life is to disagree with God. He's thinking precious thoughts about you, so don't you start coming out with stuff from your mouth that calls him a liar. Don't you start talking about what a mess I am, or I can't do it, or I'm a failure. Because those aren't things that God says about you. But they are things that the enemy wants you to believe. Because they'll bring doubt and they'll debilitate you. And they'll rob from you what God has for you. And here's the point. The more you say them, the more they come out of your mouth, the more you'll believe them. By saying them, you are building faith in those wrong things. Because faith comes by hearing. And every time you say it, you hear it. So instead, start saying things that agree with how God thinks about you. Start saying God things. Things like, God, I know I've messed up. I know that I've just got that horrendously wrong. But I know, my God, that you can turn all things to my good. Because in spite of what I've messed up, I love you. And I'm going to keep on loving you. And I know that greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world. I know I can't do things in my own strength, but I know that through Christ nothing is impossible to me. That Christ in me strengthens me. That Christ lives in me. That I'm loved by God and nothing can snatch me from his hand. Nothing can take away his love from me. And start saying those things that God says about you. And that will grow your faith. That will stir faith inside you till you become the person that God made you to be. Not believing the lies of the enemy and the doubts that he stirs up, but trusting God and being brave as you step out. So right now I'm going to pray for you. Father, I want to thank you that in spite of everything, you love me. In fact, you don't just love me, but your word says you delight in me, faults and all. And that you love me so much, you are not going to help me stay that way. I'm not where I was, and I'm asking you to take me to where you want me. Amen.